Live? It appears so. Welcome one, welcome all internet dwellers. It's good to see you here. Even though we're here under some pretty bad circumstances, wish they were better. Um, Recently, one of the more vulnerable, marginalized communities has been under attack by multi-ton sea predator, the orca. Killer whales have been taken out, billionaires' yachts, and it's been going on for a few weeks, actually a few years. Uh, but it's starting to reach its apex. Recently, there was a submarine that was lost for a few days. Um, People were concerned about the habitants of the submarine because a lot of them were some wonderful billionaires. One of them worked for the World Economic Forum, um, and we were all praying for him. Unfortunately, it looks like they didn't make it. Now there were a significant amount of people who were mocking these people. You can see them making the memes. Bang bang, the water is safe. Send more billionaires. Bang bang. That's because there were bangs coming from where the submarine was located. They were investigating the remnants of the Titanic, ironically. Then they joined the Titanic, or the poor people who died in the Titanic. A lot of the rich people survived, rightfully so. Poor people, we should be sacrificed for these billionaires. They are our betters. So, um, but one of the concerning things, there's been like pictures resurfacing of me coordinating with killer whales. This is when I was younger. I've had several relationships with killer whales over the years, um, and it's not looking good. Um, there's been speculation that the killer whales attacking the boats had something to do with me, which it didn't. But it's bad optics, because see the news articles: killer whales toss yacht around like ragdolls. 20th orca attack in a month. They got alleged spies that are whales working for the Russians. And it's killer whales are not our friends, and then it's me looking awfully friendly with the killer whale. And I do not condone what they have been doing. And a matter of fact, to an extent, I understand some of the jokes around what happened to him being hurt. I mean, I thought it was kind of funny up until they came up actually dead. Like the submarine imploded on itself. I was hoping that they would emerge and see how the public viewed them, and then like they'd have like a change of heart, like dedicate all of their funds to overthrowing the whole concept of a billionaire. Because I mean, what can you get with 2 billion that you can't get with one? I've been saying that for years, but uh, sadly, like they perished. Um, and it's just this is something I don't want it to come to. I would like billionaires, like the criminal ones, which is pretty much all of them, to be taken to justice. Yes, um, but I don't want to see them just die. I want them to know that they're hated and they're disgusting figures, and and bring them to justice. And I want to turn their life of poverty into a reality show. That's my personal preference. But of course, I understand the general public does not feel the same way. Um, so I made it when I was creating the Revolution the musical. I had a song, "Shit in a Brick," where I'm the only person who's opposed to the guillotine because in my experience in activist circles, usually I'm the only one who doesn't want to kill them. I'm like I'm. That's why people they may think what I'm saying is harsh. If you're a billionaire who shut down any of my channels, you may think like I'm a little extreme. But yeah, I'm actually probably your best friend. You know, yes, I have orca friends, but I wasn't telling them to crash your yachts. I was explaining the income disparities between the rich and the poor, but that's all. That's as far as it went. I may have mentioned that billionaires are destroying both of our environments, on land and in water. However, it was not my intention to have them destroy your yachts. I just didn't want you to be able to be on the water. I wanted you to be protected in a solitary confinement, some kind of high security prison where you can't escape, have all of your funds stripped from you, so you can't pay $250,000 to go explore the Titanic, being controlled by a game controller, by a PlayStation 2 controller. Now it's just, I feel like I need to atone for what's going on. So, for those who don't know, I've been working on my theatrical production skills, making sets and whatnot. And I'm going to be starting my own submarine service, half the price of what they paid to go be killed. I'm not going to be using some PlayStation 2 controller. I was thinking of using a Nintendo Switch controller or something more modern, something more reliable. I was going to use some of the sturdiest plywood I could find for your submarine vessel, and yeah, it's going to be no poor people at all allowed. I'll be uh, uh, controlling the drone, but I'm too poor to get in there, so I won't be in there with you. I'll be doing it from the surface. So if you know a billionaire, just let them know for the price of $125,000, I will send them on a more reliable vessel, and I will see to it that their money is spent well. I guess when you make lots of money, you're no longer a human being. Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, it's proven that having that kind of money, it creates sociopaths because you're disconnected from human emotion. I mean, everybody I know, the worst people I've ever met were really rich people, like really rich to the point, like where they obviously inherited their money, and they look down on people who don't have as much money as them. Um, and there's a few of those people in California, Washington, like the bigger metropolitan areas. That inherited wealth is a bitch. You think you're doing your kids a favor by giving them all that money? You're destroying them. They're the poorest people in the world. Like Bob Marley said, some people are so poor, all they have is money. And yeah, that's definitely my experience. Like just wacky. Like they could believe the most insane shit. They could watch the news and actually believe it, because they never had the rubber meets the road moment where you know uh, uh, their ideas and philosophies come into contact with reality. They're protected from reality. That's what that money does. It insulates you from everyday people's experience. So you can see someone out in the street struggling, and you'll be like, "That'll never be me," because it'll never be you. But you think it's because of your decisions. Like you do more drugs than they do in a lot of the cases I come across. Um, like you have like you're dumber than they are most of the time, but you think you're better than them, and you think because a lot of these people they think like their income or their not even income, their wealth, income that they get from fucking interest, since it is far outweighs what people get from working. Um, They think like they just made all the right decisions, but uh, really, it's just there's some dipshits who just are too rich to fail, and they're controlling all our politics. They're controlling our culture, our society, and these motherfuckers need to be arrested. uh, and it's just like the public reaction to them dying, like celebrating them dying. If it's not like a telltale sign for all the other billionaires out there, I don't know what is. Because we already had, what was it, one of the Koch brothers died, the internet celebrated. They were like, yes, another one bites the dust. Matter of fact, when the Queen died, another one bites the dust became like one of the number one songs. Uh, because people hate seeing that kind of wealth being transferred from generation to generation uh, to ungrateful little shitheads who have way more power than they ever should. I mean, we say we live in a democracy, but it's clear that big money runs the country, and big money gets handed down to the most worthless people in the world. Um, that being said, I'm prepared to make a submarine for you guys. The offer still stands because I'm just trying to overcome this image of me kicking it with orcas, because that's not who I am. I'm not about taking down their yachts. I want them to survive. I just want them to do some jail time. That's it. Just don't skimp on the safety measures. Absolutely. Like I said, when I do a submarine, I'm going to be using the best plywood I can find, something that can withstand uh, like 5-6 miles underwater. I'm going to use some of the thickest quarter-inch glass I could find. That should withstand, whatever psi's they tend to encounter. Gets to 10,000 psi. I'm pretty sure that quarter-inch plywood will survive it. Going to use. I got multiple pneumatic staple guns to work with. Got a Brad gun. Just keep it together. Gonna have like popsicle sticks, like make a door out of popsicle sticks that can withstand um, the depths of the ocean. It's going to be way more safe than what they went down to explore the Titanic in. So keep an eye out. Let me know. Just let all the billionaires all the ones in your contact list. Let them know it's a bargain. $125,000 a pop. And we're going to be using way more advanced technology for steering. Like I said, it's going to be a Nintendo Switch controller, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. I take it you're not a fan of Wallace Waddles. Wallace Waddles, is that a cartoon character? That sounds like a penguin. A penguin. Is that a penguin? Celebrating someone dying is morally repugnant. Absolutely. That's why it's just I was hoping that they did not die. I mean, I didn't want to like step on the poor people having fun on the internet, because I was thinking that like they were just uh, going to come out like they were having some tuna niçoise salad while they were down there, spending like a little extra time. And then they'd come out and just be like, "Oh, the internet hates us. Poor people hate us." Um, but this is the way it went down. It's sad because there was a kid on there, a child billionaire, being groomed to be a psychopath. I don't know how far the grooming got, but yeah, I wish it would have went down differently. I wish it would have just like they would have went down. Uh, the world thought they were dead. Then they came out and then the police arrested them because the police realized billionaires are running a criminal organization, engaging in fascism. They control all of our governments. They're poisoning our water, air, everything, and they need to be locked up. And then like, you had like law enforcement just rushing them to a prison cell, and then you take all of that money and you make the world a better place. Stop funding weapons of war. Um, start healing the world, making it a better place. But we just got a few billionaires wiped off the planet. Squashed by the pressures of Mother Nature. Repugnant. No, Wallace Waddles is a self-help guru. Look up Wallace Waddles and the Right to Be Rich on YouTube. Right to be rich. Right to be rich. I mean, what yeah, I mean, I'm you got the right to be rich. It's a lot of poor rich people who are rich in spirit, contribute so much to society, making it so much better, and they don't have a penny for it. If you got like umpteen $billion, like several of the people who just got crushed by the ocean, um, yeah, you're extremely poor with a fuckload of money. You made more money than you've contributed to society. Like how can anyone contribute $1 billion worth of value to society? Like, are they like making products and selling them? No. I mean, I guess you could say J.K. Rowling. She sold a gajillion books. That's how she became a billionaire. But like most of these people, they don't do shit. Like they just like buy up politicians. They get policy to go in their favor, and then they invest in the companies that they know are about to do well because they get billions of dollars in subsidies. Like we're talking about corporate welfare on a level. It's just if we swapped out the corporate welfare that they're stealing from us, from the taxpayer, because they don't pay taxes. Um, if we just took all that money that they're taking from us and we invested in the bottom up, giving people homes, then we wouldn't have more empty homes than we have homeless people. Like we wouldn't have homeless people. Period. We'd be able to find a home for each and every one of them. But right now we got like empty homes with heat going on because they don't want the pipes to burst because it's so cold. And then while they're heating up these empty homes, you got homeless people dying in the street. Just think about how fucked up a society is by the time we get to that point that we've been at for several years. Corporations should not be able to own property, period. That should be illegal. Um, but yeah, they own all the property. They're the ones artificially raising up property prices. Well, in this summer, I'm taking off of school. I want to organize a few people to go to the city hall to stand up against it. Even though I realized last time I went to a city hall, I was arguing against someone who was directly invested in the healthcare system that we were trying to fight against. So he was like, when he was called out about the money he was receiving from the healthcare industries, he was like, "Oh, that's my son. My son, he's in charge of the finances," and he threw his son under the bus. Meanwhile, he was fighting for the policies that were fucking us over, but making him rich. It's kind of like Joe Biden. Like he's got Hunter doing all these fucked up business dealings. Got discovered in his laptop. They said it was Russian disinformation. Glenn Greenwald had to walk away from his website that he helped to create for exposing it because the CIA didn't want it exposed. And then, lo and behold, a few years later, now the big news websites are admitting that it was not Russian disinformation. Hunter Biden is a corrupt crackhead facilitating all kinds of fucked up shit, including funding biological weapons labs like in the Ukraine and in China. And, there's a lot of stuff coming from those biological weapons labs. A lot of it involves you getting force vaccinations. But that's another story. Hey Nate, because maybe the Joy-Con drift will work better underwater. Get it? Because drift. Oh yeah, there we go. That's that's shame on you. Let's not laugh at their misfortune. Um, LOL. Dang, I just noticed your switch light in the back too. Cool, homie. Oh yeah, yeah. That's. I've been doing the Tears of the Kingdom on it. It's the only game I really play at this point. I mean, because I stopped using it for a good minute. But yeah, when Tears of the Kingdom came out, I had to pick that up same week. First time I ever did that in over a decade. Usually, it's not like a game I'm like, ooh, I got to get to it. But I was a huge fan of the Breath of the Wild, which took me years to pick up. I heard about it a bunch, and then like I finally, um, reluctantly, just got on it. And then I got on like a big Zelda kick. I started downloading. I thought, what is it? It was another Zelda game. I found out it was hella old. It was not Breath of the Wild. It was one that came out for the Wii, and I downloaded it, and I thought it was gonna be the sequel to Tears of the King or Breath of the Wild. What was it? Uh, Skyward Sword. Yeah, I downloaded that shit thinking it was gonna be new, but it wasn't terrible, but it was not Breath of the Wild. And I guess Tears of the Kingdom is kind of like a combination of the two because you can fly and all the stuff, but definitely a bigger fan of the later Zelda games. Even though I had I downloaded like another old one that I actually played on the Game Boy. Uh, what was it? Zelda. You got me just looking at this shit. Uh, uh, I forget the name of it. It's just not on my thing. Link's Awakening. That was it. But yeah, I think I already gave out my Switch information on my Rockman Rewind. So you can add me. A few people did. Um, but yeah, when they log on, they're playing the Tears of the Kingdom too. You are right though. When you become that rich, you live in a bubble and you can't relate to the majority of other people. Well, yeah, and then it's like, what are you saving up all that money for? you know, that's why I just need $10 million. I show them how to live on the interest, because that's a $500,000 in interest every year for 10 million. By the time you get to a billion, that's like over $50 million in interest. If you can't live off of that, you're a broken person. But it's really not about that they need the money. It's that they need you to not have the money so they can have control over you. It's just like Bill Gates, one of the richest people, um, when he worked at Microsoft, like he was under investigation for being a serial sex offender. Like everybody he worked around with, he was just like inappropriate with, and he really cut loose when he went to Epstein Island. But yeah, they need like these people to be extremely desperate, like so desperate that you'll go to an island where you don't have a way home. You're dependent on a pervert like Jeffrey Epstein or Bill Gates for a ride back. And if you don't follow their rules, like they'll leave you there stranded, sacrifice you, do some crazy shit to you, right? And then they're while they're there, they're talking to the heads of state. They're talking to like the people who really run the government. They're talking to the banks and all this stuff. They're getting all this dirt on them, controlling them, and yeah, because it's a perverse system, and they need leverage over people. Um, because if they didn't have all this money and power, the ability to deny you uh, um, a peaceful existence, say, push you into homelessness, poverty. Um, yeah, that no one will want to fuck him. Like he just like they buy up all these houses, they buy up all this shit from while it's in foreclosure, and they get like desperate ass people to do some strange things for some change, for like literally the change in their pocket. It's like next to nothing for them. You get $100,000 from 100 billionaire. That's nothing. That's like if I gave you a quarter out of my pocket, that would be a higher percentage of my wage, of all my fucking money, my life savings, than it would be for them to give you 100,000, $1 million. And it's just like it's life changing to you, but it's nothing to them. That's like a fraction of their interest. That's why every year, without fail, their money goes up. It's not like, oh, uh, Bill Gates, he went down $200 million because he wiped out poverty, wiped out homelessness, ended world hunger. No, he made more money this year than the last, and it's going to continue that way because yeah, he needs that control, that power, and it's well, I said it's going to continue that way until we just start making policies to stop it, which is really just stop giving them money, stop giving billionaires umpteen $1 billion contracts through the Pentagon, through the CIA, all these outfits that are against us, stealing our tax money, telling us they can't give us health care for all, while they give the richest people more money than they could ever spend. Continue to give it to them. And all they do is just take a small fraction of the interest that they make off of that money, and then they buy up more politicians so they continue the gravy train, which fucks us over. Right? So let's just lock them motherfuckers up. All people engaging in fascism need to do jail time. Like if you have a company that has lobbyists, that's guaranteed corruption, guaranteed fascism. The collaboration of state and corporations, right? That's guaranteed. That's why we hated Mussolini and Hitler, right? Uh, um, and it's just like, yeah, so they need to be investigated immediately. Find out who's at the top of these organizations, the people calling the shots, lock them up. Make do a few plea deals for the people at the bottom who were just like, oh, I needed the money. That's the only reason I went to Epstein Island, because it was a team building exercise. That's what I was told. And then we got there, and Bill told me to pick out a girl. I didn't realize they were all actual girls underage. you know, like if we got to be sympathetic to some of the people who may not have been orchestrating it, but who were just victims of it, who were just like going along to get along. Were any of the Supreme Court justices on Epstein Island flight logs? I'm sure of it. Power corrupts. Absolutely. And absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. Um, yeah, so just I mean it's all of the most powerful people were on Epstein Island. That's why, like Jeffrey Epstein died, and it was just like, okay, suicide. Wipe your hands of it. You're done with it. No more questions. uh, and meanwhile, it was multiple CNN producers who were caught trafficking children. One of them was just convicted of trafficking children. Um, because CNN, CIA news network, CIA, they they had their hands in the Epstein honeypot, um, and it's just like they need to continue those kinds of services because they are controlling everything in secret, and all the people who you think are the leaders, the public figureheads, they have no real power. I mean, Joe Biden, he's a sack of shit, racist, Strom Thurmond eulogy giving crackhead, right? He's a horrible person. He's not in power. I mean, America's shit. because he's willing to toe the line, say what needs to be said, and he might believe it because all that crack usage has deteriorated his brain through the years. Um, but he has handlers. That's why it's a lot of interviews where he's like, oh, I'm not supposed to be saying this. I'm not supposed to be saying this. You're the president. You should be able to say whatever the fuck you want, unless we have like a deep state that's actually controlling shit, calling the shots. That's really what we have. And he's one of those people. He's okay with it. He was the author of the 1994 crime bill, uh, uh, caused countless millions of colored people to be locked up for nonviolent drug charges, while his son is a violent fucking crackhead who has him his dad Joe Biden in his phone as Pedo Peter, right? And he's collaborating with Nazis, funding biological weapons labs. Uh, the worst kinds of crackhead, like everything that Joe Biden said that a crackhead was. Violent, unpredictable, just a menace to society, and he's protected. Meanwhile, like you try crack in a sting operation, like Marion Barry, like, oh, the bitch set me up. Yeah, you doing time. The coroner reports that he committed suicide by shooting himself twice in the back of the head. Yeah, that must be a Clinton friend of the Clinton family. Yeah, the Clintons were chosen. They got elected because they were selected due to the corruption that Bill exhibited while he was governor of Arkansas. Like when the CIA was bringing in all that cocaine, they used to use ports in Arkansas when Billy was the governor. They knew he was easy to control because he was a fucking pervert, sexually assaulting rapist. And they knew Hillary was cool with it. That she was on the board of Walmart, helping them get to the status they're at today. Putting all these small businesses out of business. So yeah, it's just the corporate overlords have demonstrated that they have way too much power. It needs to be reined in. If some people, it's hard for them to imagine a world without these fucking corporations. I came across a post where it was a picture of the last burger and fries from McDonald's in Denmark, I believe. And Denmark, they ran McDonald's out back in 2009. The burgers still look relatively new because of all the preservatives. You should not be eating that shit. But they ran McDonald's out of the country because McDonald's had this very unsustainable business practice of importing all their shit. Like your burger travels thousands of miles to get to your plate, wherever you are, right? And then it's like in no way sustainable. Like we subsidize these corporations, and this is what I'm talking about. Like even like aside from all the billions of dollars that the CEOs get, when they run these businesses into the ground, the guaranteed billions they get. Like just there's no such thing as a 99 cents burger. I mean, I know now due to inflation you can't find one. But even when you had the value menu and all that shit, those burgers were like, if you had to pay the actual price, it'd be like 15-20 bucks, but they get subsidized. All of the worst food for you, gets subsidized to the point where it becomes extremely affordable. So they poison you. They'll gladly subsidize prices to poison you, right? And in Denmark, they wanted to have locally sourced everything. So when they got rid of McDonald's, they just replaced it with I think it was called Metro, which is like it had the same services, but everything was locally grown, locally sourced, more sustainable. Um, and they also have a higher standard of living. They have guaranteed health care, all kinds of stuff that they take for granted that people like myself have been fighting for a very long time. And yeah, the reason we have to fight for such things is because these corporations have too much power. And what we really need to do is just like rein that power in. Just like, you can't operate in this motherfucker. We're not subsidizing these corporations anymore. You're not getting any fucking tax breaks. All of that corporate welfare is going to go to locally owned, worker owned businesses. You know, teach people how to grow their own food. You know, how to tend the soil in a way where we're not like poisoning ourselves. You know, it's a lot of states it's illegal to grow hemp, but hemp when you grow it, it takes the lead out of your soil. Um, it's good for your soil, and it's all kinds of methods that we should be implementing that would rejuvenate our soil, that would take all the toxins out. But we're not focused on that. I was just it was what was it? Bitter almonds. They were made illegal to grow in the United States because they have a high level of B17, which is it fights cancer. um, and it's like stuff like that. Like you know, you start learning how shit actually works. You realize the government is not your friend. The government is the corporation's friend. It's there to keep you sick in need of their drugs that really don't work as advertised. You know, the third killer of people in America is overprescription of these petrochemical based drugs. And we only got petrochemical based drugs because they're easy to patent. And you had like people like the Rockefeller family fighting for the current healthcare system that we have. It's really a sick maintenance system. If it's a drug that actually helps, you can't afford that shit. If it's worthless and it doesn't help you at all, like that's the first thing that they'll offer you. You know, they'll offer you all kinds of heart medication that actually make you sicker. You know, they'll push a opiate epidemic on the populace, get them addicted to heroin, and then like we have like unregulated drugs that are still illegal. So when you start using those unregulated drugs, it's usually mixed with something like fentanyl, which will make you sicker. Now they got the zombie drug. You see people with all these sores on their faces, all hunched over. It's because their drugs are mixed with fentanyl and some form of tranquilizer. It's just got people looking like zombies. Um, and it's just like if we would have went the way of Portugal, you know, legalize, tax, and regulate everything, they have a lower addiction rate, and the drugs are much safer, right? Joe Biden, he gave out drug kits. They were saying they had crack pipes, and they were arguing that they didn't have crack pipes. You know, even though it would make sense that they have crack pipes since his son's on crack. Um, but yeah, they definitely had needles. Uh, they wanted to give you clean needles so you can use the dirty drugs that are unregulated. Use some fucking zombie drugs. And I think all of that shit was really um, uh, um, uh, it was them trying to get people to get arrested. You know, it was not embezzlement, but like what's the Sean Connery movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones? I think you could probably patent dog crap if you have enough money to bribe the FDA. I think the FDA is dog crap. LOL, good description of that game. Skyward Sword. Yeah. Hey, long time no see. Well, welcome. LOL, nah. I'm not making fun of the victims. I'm making fun of the company for using a Bluetooth game controller for a whole submarine. Rest in peace to the victims. All right. Well, good on you. RIP. And I would look forward to the day when I say RIP to the system that created the victims. Because if we would have had like a proper system in place where we tax billionaires accordingly, we don't allow them to engage in fascism, buy up our politicians, create nothing but, get massively wealthy, they wouldn't be having $250,000 to go on that shit anyway. Most of them would have already been locked up. They would have been safely locked up in a prison for engaging in fascism. It's just like Nancy Pelosi's husband. I remember everyone was like laughing at him being hit with a hammer. I was disgusted. I was like, hell nah. Do not laugh at him. I was one of those people who wanted to protect him, like by locking him up in solitary confinement uh, for engaging in fixing stocks. you know, Martha Stewart went to jail just for getting some tips. Like he's like his wife was head of the Democrats, the Speaker of the House. Like she's the whip. She is in control of policies that will directly affect the companies he's invested in. Like that's like next level shit. Why isn't he doing umpteen lifetimes along with his wife? Um, and I think that's the only way to protect them. Because once people realize how badly they've been fucked, they're just gonna get more hammers, or sharper shit like guillotines. And we need to lock up the rich people before something bad happens to them. You know, if the masses don't get to them with their pitchforks and torches, then it's gonna be the orcas, or they're gonna do some dumb shit and just go on a vessel that's gonna get them killed. They're already talking about space travel. I shudder to think about what they're gonna be controlling those spaceships with. That's why I'm gonna be making my own spaceship for the billionaires. Let's say 500,000 a pop. It'll get you to space, and I'll go to a wood shop. I see if I can get some spare parts down at the pick and pull. Get some extra plywood. Make a spacecraft out of it. Get some plywood strong enough to last to survive re-entry into the Earth. And I'll control it with the PlayStation 5 controller. How about that? I'm too poor to fly on it myself, so it'll be nothing but billionaires. But yeah, we're looking for Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Klaus Schwab. Love to get him on there. He seems like a stand-up guy. Yeah. The movie you're thinking of is called Entrapment. Yes, it is. Entrapment. It is entrapment. The government is entrapping people. That whole Paul Pelosi thing was just weird. It's just hard to explain. It's like, yeah, you had to be there. And it took months for the video to come out. But yeah, it's just strange things. But like I said, I fear more of that kind of stuff is going to be coming down the pipe unless we do something to help the rich people by locking them up. So let's lock them up. The guillotine orders on Amazon are skyrocketing. Like if you try to find a guillotine on there right now, they're all sold out. So something is coming. I shudder to think of what it will be. We just gotta lock up the billionaires before something bad happens to them. Hey Nate, what's up? I hope you've been okay. Sending good vibes your way. Well, yeah, tumultuous. Uh, finished up last quarter of school a week and some change ago, and yeah, I was getting job offers. One of them was for going to a rave, which I was definitely considering. Because the area where the rave is supposed to be, I worked there before. It's beautiful. And if I did a load in of the rave, it would have been like opportunity to get a free camp spot, which is normally hella expensive. So I was considering it, but had other obligations, so I couldn't do it. And then the rave ended up getting shot up. and I was pretty appalled. Um, you would think it would be all about good vibes and whatnot, but somebody went there on some other shit. Uh, and it was just kind of reminiscent of like when I was supposed to first start working at one of those petrochemical plants back before anybody knew me. Um, yeah, it ended up exploding the week I was supposed to join, but I ended up getting jumped, so I didn't go to work. Now nobody got killed in that explosion, but knowing me, I probably would have been the motherfucker just like in between because it was like a vacant um, part of the plant, and I probably would have been just cutting through, just looking for some space, some me time, and I could have been that could have been me somehow, some way. But fortunately, fate uh, allowed me to just get jumped and have to pay off several $1,000s in dental and medical bills. So, blessing in disguise, I suppose. What the fuck? Facts. It all seemed planned. Entrapment. Yes. Oh yeah, Link's Awakening is my favorite Zelda game. I had it for Game Boy. It's the only one I ever beaten. Really good game. I mean, I enjoyed it. I played the more modern one, um, the one for the Switch. Looks totally different. I mean, I was just I was trying to figure out what the major differences were aside from the aesthetic ones, and I hadn't played the game in long enough to know the differences. But yeah, it was like one of those games I was um, one of the few games I beat. I mean, I definitely had to beat it well after it came out. Like, cause I this was back when I was doing ROMs. I used to have like phones with emulators on them, or shit, even before phones with emulators, I had Pocket PCs and Palm Pilots with emulators. And yeah, that was like the first time me beating like Super Mario for the Super Nintendo, and other games that I casually played without beating. And Link's Awakening was one I didn't even it didn't even register when it was out. I wasn't like a Zelda person when I was younger. I was definitely more on the Mario team. Then as I got older, I definitely switched that up. Zelda became just my shit a little bit. Uh, I mean, because I like how it serves as a metaphor for life. Because you can go through an area your whole life um, and not be able to access a lot of shit. Then you acquire new skills, and then the world opens up to you, and you can reach new heights, new levels, so on and so forth. So it's a interesting game. Link don't beat meat. Link don't beat meat. Link definitely beats his meat. Oh, and yeah, I think I uploaded the Zelda um rewind if you're interested. You funny af Nate. Well, thank you. Talk to your audience, Negro. I'm talking to him. Sorry, like it took a while for anyone to say anything on Instagram, so I just stopped looking over here. Nerd, JK, I've been there. You beat your meat, you say? Okay, sure, yeah. Why not? Doesn't everyone? I mean, I really don't literally beat my meat. I don't fuck with meat. Vegetarian and whatnot, or pescatarian. I eat fish like a whale. Maybe I got it from the orcas. Your allegory, the allegory you're pulling from is insane. Lies. You get lost in monologues. Do I? I mean, I'm engaging in others. comments and whatnot. Fish isn't meat. That's why I say I'm a pescatarian. I don't eat stuff that walks the land. Everybody beats their meat if they're honest. Well, if I did eat meat, I would tenderize it when I did eat meat. Oh, where are we? I'm kidding. Fish is definitely meat. That's one way of looking at it. But I am a fisher, so I mean, it just comes with the territory. I know vegetarians who say that shit about ABD, and it's crazy. ABD is crazy. What is it? ABD? Is that a? I don't know what that means. If that a bullshit, a bully about them. What is ABD? They have faces, though, Nate. They have faces. Yes, yes, they do. Um, some of them are smart. I mean, that's why I try to steer clear of octopi. They're like the speculation. They're not of this world because they're highly intelligent. Um, but yeah, yeah. I mean, I mostly do it for the fatty acids, like salmon. It's good for the brain. Um, yeah, it's good for the heart, circulation, whatnot. And plus, you got to get that protein from somewhere, bro. I'd eat the fuck out an octopus, gain their powers. Okay. Um. Well, yes, that is it. There's actually parts of the world where they eat octopus while it's still alive. Like they wrap it around some chopsticks, put it in their throat, and it's people who die from that shit because they fight back. Like you let them go, like they start crawling out your tubes and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, but it's a sign of badassery in certain cultures. But I don't participate in that particular culture. Don't get my sense of my cheese mo from what I eat though. Uh, Got to think outside the box. Well, there you go. Octopuses are delicious. Well, to some, different strokes for different folks. Man, I got nothing against them. I had um, I had like a raw octopus before, and it rubbed me the wrong way. Raw squid, it's like mad rubbery. You know, I guess if it's cooked well, anything can be good. I like horse anus when it's like deep fried to perfection. Um, Outside of that, no, no, I'm good. Well, I think that's a good place to end on deep fried horse anus. Raw fish is the caviar of life. Well, you must like some poke. That shit is expensive though. And one of the things concerning about the fish, just the levels of mercury, microplastics in their water. So I mean, I think we got to make it a fair playing field when it comes to fish. I don't want to stop eating them. Um, I just want to make their environment safer for them as well as myself, since it's the circle of life and whatnot. LOL. I think besides a few new cutscenes and updated graphics, it's the same exact game. Yeah, I could believe that. I had it in Japan. It was delicious. So fresh. So fresh. Well, yeah, it's possible. You got to think of that nuclear water that they got because they were the only country that got nuked. They were the only country that we said we knew, but the U.S. like when we were doing our tests, we dropped nuclear bombs in the Bikini Atoll, Bikini Island. Uh, as they still have difficulty growing vegetation, people still can't live there, still get diseases. Um, but that's not considered nuking the country because that was just an experiment. And even though we didn't warn the overwhelming majority of the natives there, they just sat in awe of a giant nuke killing most of them. Uh, but yeah, that's U.S. policy. And now Japan is actually on the side of America against China, which just it shudders the mind. Because I live in America and I'm not with my fucking government. So just don't trust these motherfuckers. Root for the orca. The orcas are exacting revenge. One thing I will say, I think we can learn from the French, the orcas, because like we see the French are having revolution. They're running up in Black Rock. We got Black Rock execs admitting that they own our politicians. That's coming up in a new employee evaluation. Um, the orcas are mad. The French are mad. They're doing something about it. When is America going to do something about it? I ask that to you because I would like us to get organized so they're not fighting alone. They need help on land. I got their backs. Do you? Um, and on that note, we're just going to end it before we get to an hour because Instagram's going to cut off at that point. But I appreciate you guys for showing up. Peace, you silly geese. And don't forget to be good to each other.